Disney has made some terrible decisions over the past couple of years. From removing the dwarves from Snow White because that was offensive to dwarves, to turning the Little Mermaid from some white girl with red hair to a black girl without red hair. Because we can't make up new characters, apparently. I imagine if you made a black character a white character, it wouldn't be met with as much support. There was a movie called Elemental with a non-binary character because that's important for kids to learn about. Perhaps the most interesting movie that Disney has come out with recently is Indiana Jones and the Gender-Fluid Testosterone Replacement Therapy Child. I thought that was really quite good, actually. For the older Disney films, there's now warnings at the beginning of them, like Dumbo, the story of a flying elephant. Apparently that's offensive. Okay. Peter Pan and the Aristocats as well have warnings there to let people know that they may be offended by the content. And then, after no one asked for it, Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow, is getting replaced by this lady. Why? Just make a new film, dickheads. But now, thanks to the great Elon Musk, he has revealed some very interesting things about Disney. Some proof, some evidence to show that their business practice, the way that they create films, is actually quite racist and sexist, believe it or not. Elon tweeted this. An anonymous source just sent me this from Disney. It is mandatory, institutionalized racism and sexism. It is a list of all of the criteria that must be met by Disney every time they write a new film or a story or anything. And it should fucking annoy the shit out of you because once you go through it, you'll understand that nothing good will ever be made again when everybody's walking around on eggshells, terrified of offending people. On the topic of offense, come and see me live. I'm touring the world in 2024. I'm doing these dates as warm-up shows, and then I'm going absolutely everywhere. Come and see me. Go tickets right now at isaacbutterfield.com or sign up for tickets at isaacbutterfield.com. It's going to be fantastic. Come and see me live. Yeah, well done. Okay, so let's have a look. Standard A, on-screen representation. At least 3 of the following 5 areas need to be met to fulfill Standard A. Okay, so for the characters, 50% or more of regular or reoccurring written characters come from underrepresented groups. So you gotta have 50% of the people in the entire story have to come from underrepresented groups. What is an underrepresented group? I don't know, they don't detail it. Actors, 50% or more need to be coming from underrepresented groups. Secondary characters, meaningful inclusion of underrepresented groups. So you need to have the secondary characters, the people in the background, the people who don't really have a storyline. They need to come from underrepresented groups as well. Not only that, but the next 2, the series premise and the episodic storytelling, they all have to have something to do with underrepresented groups, which is all fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you make it law under Disney that everything has to be extremely diverse and inclusive, it's fucking boring. And this is why all these films start to flop. Because you are letting your own virtue signaling getting in the way of telling a good story. There should be plenty of Disney films about white people and white characters and about black people and black characters and brown and everyone mixed together. Absolutely. But when you dictate it as a law, it ruins the product. You then get to Standard B, creative leadership. 3 of the 6 areas need to be fulfilled. 50% or more of the producers and the writing staff and the co-producers all need to come from underrepresented groups. The directors, the casting directors, meaning representation in senior creative leadership. And then you need to make sure that there's career progression for at least one member of the writing staff from an underrepresented community. Fuck me dead. And then year on year, you need to have an increase of underrepresented groups. Mate, that is madness. And I'll tell you why it's madness, because we're not going to watch a Disney film because it's inclusive. We want to see a good story. That's why Disney's been so successful over the past, 80, 100 years, whatever it is? Because they tell good stories. That's why I have so many great memories of Disney films growing up, because they tell great stories. Now, no one gives a shit about fucking Disney. There's then Standard C and Standard D, that there has to be production designers and other key roles all have to come from underrepresented groups. Once again, that's lovely, but why not just get the best people for the job? If the best 100 people to work on a film are all white, then hire all of them. If they're all fucking Asian, hire all of them. If they're all fucking a different color, hire all of them. It doesn't matter, just hire the best people. If you want a quality product that's gonna do well and return on your investment, you need the best people. All right, not this equality of fucking outcome bullshit. Also, what's hilarious at the bottom of this PDF is you're also not allowed to ask if someone's from an underrepresented group. So how do you know? Could I walk in there and say I'm from an underrepresented group? Are Australians underrepresented in Disney? I wonder if they are, or are we just talking about skin colour here? But also, if you're not allowed to ask, isn't that a little bit of a racial profiling sort of thing? Are you looking at people and going, you're not black enough for this role, you're not brown enough for this role? Is that a little bit rude? I think it is. What if you've got a black mum and a white dad? You're a mixed race child, and you don't appear to be black. Are you not going to get picked because you're not black enough? What if you're from a trailer park in Central America? Are you underrepresented? This is a lot to digest. Let's take a short break and watch this. Yes. Real life is horrible sometimes. Let's be fair though, it's not just Disney who are doing this, it's everyone in the corporate world. Companies would prefer diversity over possibly hiring the best candidate. From Boeing to American Airlines, Alaskan Airlines, they would prefer to hire someone who's diverse to make them look good, I guess, then hire the best person for the job, which should terrify you because they're an airline. It's not just them, it's Bank of America and BlackRock as well, which confuses me. Ford, General Motors, Google, they all hire people based on the color of their skin, not the content of who they are, which is horrific, terrible, and a bad business practice. Obviously, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be hired because they are a different color to me. That is ridiculous. Obviously, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you should be hired because of your qualifications. And I imagine anyone watching this who isn't a white person would look at me and go, hey, I don't want to be hired just because I'm a different color. That's ridiculous. You're looking down on someone when you do that. You are going, oh, look, I am so powerful. I'm going to hire you because you're weaker than me. Fuck that shit. Companies just don't seem to understand the go woke, go broke model. Like it happened. Look at the surf brand Rip Curl just last month. They decided to do this year's Bud Light and they removed actual female ladies from their brand and replaced them with a trans woman, which is lovely. So nice. But also, the fuck you doing, mate? You're really pissing off the ladies. And then there's the Australian underwear Bonds who did this a week later. What the fuck? Who are you trying to appease? It's not the wider population, it's a very small vocal minority of idiots. I remember not too long ago, I applied for funding. This is probably like 3 or 4 years ago with a place called Screen Australia. Now, Screen Australia funds a lot of different commercial opportunities for smaller creators. They do it for YouTubers all the time. But one of the things that they ask when you go through, when you actually fill in all your information, when you apply for grants for the show or whatever you want to do, is they ask, does this project contain First Nations content and or participation or collaboration with First Nations people? It just seems like an unnecessary box to tick. Because don't you want to pick the best stories? Why are you picking things just because they hit your diversity and inclusion protocols? It doesn't stop there. It asks about people's cultural background and ethnicity. They also ask if someone identifies as LGBTQIA+. It also asks if someone has a disability. In reality, none of these things matter. You should be funding the best stories. You're there to bring stories to light with government funding that wouldn't have come to light because the people who were creating them didn't have the funding. Not to pick and choose content based on whether or not you have enough people who happen to be a certain color. That's crazy, mate. That's madness. In fact, it went so far that we, to try and get the funding, we made sure we had people who, there was already 3 people that worked for us who were Aboriginal, one dude was gay, and there was a lesbian as well. We made sure that we put all of their names on there and filled in their information just to try and get this grant. How ridiculous. That's so unnecessary. Why do stories and films need to focus on political bias? Fuck this diversity and inclusion shit off. Just make the best stories possible regardless of the color of the people's skin in the films. Pretty simple, right? Or don't. And just fuck your company up. Ladies and gentlemen, be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East, but it stinks. Tout le revoir, bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this fantastic video by me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, some very important news. I am going on a world tour in 2024. If you are in the USA, the UK, Australia, or New Zealand, or any other part of the world, make sure you sign up for tickets at isaacbutterfield.com, and as soon as they become available, you will get an email. You'll be able to get them straight away, and you won't miss out. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Once again, see you next time. Bye.